Today, I'm sharing that every favor needs to be measured and appropriate. As Russell once said, among all virtues, the nature of being helpful is most needed in the world. Throughout our long lives, no one is an island, self-sufficient. We all live through mutual assistance. However, knowing how to help is a skill that involves a sense of proportion and measure. All kindness needs a bit of an edge. Smart people understand that in life, there are certain favors, even if the relationship is very good, that should not be done. 1. Do not help with major decisions. In this world, everyone has their own life, and each life is unique. Therefore, no one can live another person's life or make decisions and choices for them, even if the help is well-intentioned. No matter how capable you are still just yourself and not the other person. This happened to a friend of mine. My cousin, in her junior year, was unsure about whether to pursue graduate school, take the civil service exam, or start an internship. She sought my advice. Based on my experience, I analyzed her options and strongly recommended graduate school, believing that a graduate degree would offer better employment and development opportunities. My cousin accepted my suggestion and focused entirely on preparing for the exam in her senior year. I felt happy, thinking I had done the right thing. However, as the exam approached, my cousin's attitude toward me changed. In our conversations, she often expressed complaints, saying she was exhausted and struggling, questioning if she had made the wrong choice. This resentment erupted after she failed the exam, blaming me for her current situation. She said that if it weren't for my advice to go for graduate school, she wouldn't have missed the internship opportunities, leaving her with a blank resume upon graduation. She hung up the phone in tears, leaving me stunned. Sis once said, everything must be done in moderation, without overstepping the boundaries between people. Regardless of the relationship, help must be measured, with clear boundaries. Especially when it comes to major decisions for others, do not help. Sometimes what we think is help might become the reason for others to blame us when they fall into a bad situation. Don't let your enthusiasm mislead others, nor let their regrets be linked to you. A well-intentioned help that goes awry doesn't help at all and may leave you feeling heartbroken and regretful. Even the most stable relationships can turn chaotic if boundaries of help are blurred. 2. Do not help beyond your means. As the saying goes, if you don't have a big enough leaf, don't try to wrap a big dumpling. The best choice is to act within your means. In life, a person's abilities are limited. When helping others, you must consider your situation and not act blindly or overextend yourself. If you empty yourself to help others, you might end up messing up your own life. Recently, a news story about a man who pretended to be rich and lent borrowed money to others sparked heated discussion online. Mr. Wang from Xinmi, Hunan, met Ms. Kung through a dating app earlier this year. They hit it off at first, but Ms. Kung gradually became distant, citing her busy work schedule. On July 19th, Ms. Kung saw from Wang's WeChat moments that he was celebrating his birthday and contacted him, not to wish him well, but to borrow money. She asked to borrow 50,000 yuan to pay off her credit card, promising to return it in 2 days. Wang, wanting to save face, immediately transferred 50,000 yuan to her. A few days later, she asked for another 90,000 yuan to smooth things over and promised to repay the total 140,000 yuan. Wang, without hesitation, did as she asked. In reality, of the 140,000 yuan lent to Ms. Kung, only part was Wang's savings, the rest was borrowed from loan platforms. Under the pressure of interest and repayment, Wang had no choice but to seek help from local media. With media intervention, they agreed on a repayment date. Ms. Kung claimed she had no intention to deceive Wang but was genuinely in business trouble and didn't realize Wang had lent her borrowed money. Facing the camera, Wang self-deprecatingly said he was just pretending to be rich. An ancient saying goes, help others with your own strength, but do not overextend. Therefore, never force yourself to help others for the sake of face, nor compromise your own life to maintain a relationship. True help comes from having the capacity to help. Always act within your means. Helping others beyond your capacity will only bring trouble to yourself. 3. Do not help those who do not appreciate. As the saying goes, gratitude is born from helping with rice, resentment from helping with a bushel. If you habitually help and others habitually accept, over time, they won't appreciate you. Not all kindness is appreciated. Kindness without a bit of edge is likely to be taken for granted. The longer you help, the more the other person will take it for granted, and the less they will value you. Misplaced kindness, like the story of the farmer and the snake, will eventually hurt yourself and might even turn against you. A recent story about a woman who was sued after helping her friend pick up her child for 2.5 years went viral online. Ms. Zhang from Jinan and Ms. Du are friends, and their children attended the same kindergarten. Ms. Du, busy with work, asked Ms. Zhang to help pick up her child. Occasionally, when Ms. Du had to work late, her child would have dinner at Ms. Zhang's house. This favor continued uninterrupted for 2.5 years. Gradually, Ms. Du took it for granted, believing that since Ms. Zhang had to pick up her own child anyway, taking her child was just a convenient add-on, nothing significant. Despite Ms. Zhang's growing frustration with Ms. Du's attitude, she held back, thinking they were friends and their children were classmates. Unexpectedly, one day, Ms. Du's child fell from the back seat of an electric bike and was hospitalized for a week, costing over 7,700 yuan. Although Ms. Zhang visited the child in the hospital with nutritional supplements and left 2,000 yuan, Ms. Du still sued her. The news triggered widespread discussion. Some commented that continuing to help when realizing it was unappreciated was Ms. Zhang's biggest mistake. Indeed, kindness is free, but it shouldn't be without limits. Kindness should have an edge, and help should be rational. Helping others is a virtue and a good deed, but not everyone has a grateful heart. Some see others giving as their right, accepting it without hesitation. People's hearts are insatiable, and misplaced kindness harms oneself. Helping ungrateful people leads to futility, with no gratitude or appreciation in return. Stefan Zweig said that an individual's strength is hard to cope with the endless hardships of life, so we need others' help, and we also need to help others. The world needs care and warmth. Therefore, we should choose good deeds and take pleasure in helping others, giving those in difficult situations the help we can. But any help must be appropriate and measured. Do not blindly help with tasks you shouldn't, or it will backfire, bringing trouble to yourself. May all kindness be like sunlight, illuminating others and warming yourself. There is a sociological principle called the circle law, also known as the rule of 150. It suggests that human intelligence allows us to maintain stable social circles of up to 148 people, roughly rounded to 150. At a certain stage in life, the upper limit of one's social circle is around 100 people. As we grow older, we increasingly find that our social circle shrinks. Yet, some friends are hard to remove, insignificant to keep, but too daunting to discard, making interactions exhausting. Therefore, it might be wise to appropriately simplify your social circle. 4 unignorable rules for decluttering your social circle. 1. Different levels of friendships. Do not climb up. On Jiu, someone asked if they should persist in a relationship that requires constant effort but yields no response. More than half of the responses suggested giving up. One response read, "In college, I helped a roommate fetch water for 4 years. When I asked him to bring me a meal from the cafeteria once, he refused. I was very hurt. After graduation, I never contacted him again." Many relationships where effort is not reciprocated lead to despair. Maintaining long-term relationships requires equality and balance, with mutual give and take. One-sided efforts to maintain relationships are not worth continuing. Efforts should be respected, and concessions should be understood. If there is no response in a relationship, learn to let go. Don't let yourself be wronged. Your sincerity should be for those who deserve it. 2. Levels of closeness in the social circle. Do not force integration. Some people feel guilty, priding themselves on being sentimental, but find that promised regular contact fades away. Ms. Jean and her college friends maintained weekly gatherings for years, a closeness envied by many. Last year, a friend moved to another city for work, and Ms. Jean found their weekly meetings became a burden, with travel being impractical. Occasional video calls were filled with silence and awkwardness. Now, with different circles and experiences, they struggled to find common topics. This forced intimacy lasted only 6 months before ending. Yet, when Ms. Jean saw her friend's recent social media posts with new weekend friends, she felt a pang of hurt. Although human relationships are precious, maintaining close bonds despite different social circles is difficult. With changed circles, relationships naturally distance. Mutual respect and understanding are necessary, recognizing that bonds may fade. Forced integration is pointless, and it's better to treasure past memories. 3. Different ways of social interaction. Be understanding. Mr. Wang and Mr. Li were high school classmates. Mr. Wang, a doctor, and Mr. Li, a manager in a private company, had a long-standing friendship. However, their interactions started to cause issues. Mr. Wang often couldn't make plans due to his demanding schedule, frustrating Mr. Li. On Mr. Wang's rare day off, he expected plans with Mr. Li, who was busy himself. Their infrequent and mismatched schedules strained their friendship, causing misunderstandings. Recognizing the issue, they learned to adapt, accepting the sporadic interactions and appreciating the time they could spend together. Different work patterns and lifestyles require understanding and flexibility, valuing the essence of friendship over frequency. 4. Different philosophies of life. Be respectful. Philosophical differences can strain relationships. Mr. Chen and Mr. Yang, friends since childhood, found themselves at odds over their life choices. Mr. Chen pursued a high-powered corporate career, while Mr. Yang chose a simpler, family-oriented life. Their differing values caused tension, as Mr. Chen couldn't understand Mr. Yang's priorities, and Mr. Yang felt judged for his choices. Respecting each other's paths and accepting that different philosophies are equally valid helped them preserve their friendship. Understanding and respecting different life choices and values are crucial for maintaining healthy relationships. Instead of trying to change each other, accepting and appreciating differences strengthens bonds. Conclusion. Decluttering your social circle doesn't mean cutting off relationships but refining them. By focusing on mutual respect, understanding, and appreciation, we create a supportive and harmonious network. Embrace kindness with boundaries and discernment, ensuring that our efforts to help and connect with others enrich our lives and theirs.